Hi friends, welcome to English Study Point. Today in this video lecture I am going to discuss John Donne's Twickenham Garden. So this poem try to explore themes related to love, longing and the natural world. It is set against the backdrop of a beautiful garden. So this poem reflects the speaker's emotional struggles and desires, highlighting the contrast between the beauty of nature and personal yearning. And Donne's use of vivid imagery and rich sort of metaphors. Also by using these things, he invites readers to consider the complexities of human relationships and the fleeting nature of time. So the garden serves as both a physical space and a symbolic representation of love's complexities, making the poem a deep meditation on the interplay between beauty, desire and loss. So here I am beginning with these lines, blasted with sighs and surrounded with tears. So the speaker begins with strong imagery suggesting deep emotional distress. Blasted means being overwhelmed or ravished by sorrow, while surrounded with tears emphasizes the speaker's profound sadness. Hither I come to seek the spring. So the speaker arrives at the garden with the hope of finding rejuvenation or renewal. Spring symbolizes life, growth, and hope, contrasting with the preceding line's emotional turmoil. And at mine eyes and at mine ears. So the speaker refers to sensory experiences, suggesting that they are open to receiving beauty or healing through sight and sound. This portrays a yearning to be comforted by the beauty of nature. Receive such balms as else cure everything. So the balms refer to soothing or healing qualities found in the garden. The speaker seeks relief and comfort from pain, indicating that nature possesses restorative power capable of healing all wounds. But oh, self traitor I do bring. So the speaker acknowledges an internal conflict, dubbing themselves a self traitor. This suggests self awareness of their own emotional sabotage or the destructive nature of their feelings. The spider love which transubstantiates all. So the metaphor of the spider love implies that love is both deep or means intricate, complex, and potentially deadly, like a spider weaving a web. So it also suggests that love can transform all experiences, not always for the better, and can convert manna to gall. So manna symbolizes something sweet or heavenly, a reference from biblical texts, while gall stands for bitterness or poison. This transformation shows how love can turn even the most beautiful experiences into painful ones, and that this play may thoroughly be thought. So the speaker considers the garden as a place that could be perceived in a certain way. The use of thoroughly indicates a desire for a deep understanding or realization about the location. True paradise I have the serpent brought. So the mention of the serpent alludes to the biblical Eden, where the serpent symbolizes temptation and sin. The speaker acknowledges that despite seeking paradise, they bring their own destructive emotions and complexities to this supposedly perfect place. Twere whole summer for me that winter did. So the speaker expresses a desire for winter, suggesting that the cold and bleakness of winter would be healthier for them. This reflects an emotional state where the speaker feels overwhelmed by feelings brought on by the garden's beauty. Benight the glory of this place. So the term benight means that winter would bring darkness, overshadowing the garden's beauty. The speaker seems to believe that the absence of beauty would alleviate their emotional suffering, and that a grave frost did forbid. So the speaker continues wishing for winter, stating that grave frost should prevent life in the garden. The word grave suggests seriousness and a somber tone, emphasizing the desire for something that would halt the joyful mockery of the trees. These trees to laugh and mock me to my face. So the speaker personifies the trees, suggesting they laugh and mock at their sorrow. The trees symbolize the beauty and vitality of the garden, which contrasts sharply with the speaker's own despair. But that I may not this disgrace. So the speaker feels a sense of disgrace, likely due to their inability to find solace in love nor escape from emotional pain. This reflects a struggle to reconcile the conflicting emotions within. Endure not, nor yet leave loving. Love let me. So the speaker is caught in a bind, stating that they cannot endure their situation or abandon love. The invocation of love personifies the concept, pleading for some form of relief or understanding regarding their predicament. Some senseless piece of this place be. So the speaker wishes to become a senseless piece, indicating a desire to escape emotional pain by transforming into an object that does not feel, essentially seeking a state of numbness. Make me a mandrake so I may grow here. So the reference to a mandrake ties into traditional beliefs about the plant, which was thought to have magical properties and a cry that could cause harm. So the desire to become a mandrake suggests a yearning to exist in this garden without emotional turmoil, or a stone fountain weeping out my ear. So the speaker fantasizes about becoming a stone fountain, signifying a desire to express sorrow through tears while being immobile and unchanging like a stone. The fountain represents both beauty and the eternal nature of grief, capturing the essence of their sorrow while remaining removed from the pain of love. Now here, hither with crystal fiols, lovers come. So the speaker calls lovers to come with crystal fiols, small glass bottles, to collect his tears. This sets the tone of invitation, suggesting that the tears he sheds are precious and worth preserving, and may take my tears which are love's wine. So the speaker compares his tears to love's wine, implying that they are valuable and potent, perhaps even intoxicating. This metaphor indicates the deep emotional experience involved in love and the sorrow intertwined with it. And try your mistress tears at home. So the speaker challenges lovers to test their own female partner's tears against his. This suggests a skepticism towards the authenticity of other women's emotions, contrasting them with the speaker's own sorrow, which he believes to be pure and genuine. For all are false that taste not just like mine. So the assertion that any tears which do not resemble his are false implies a profound sense of uniqueness in his emotional experience. The speaker feels that his suffering is authentic while others' emotions are merely performative or insincere. Alas, hearts do not in eyes shine. So the speaker mournfully recognizes that one's true feelings are not easily discernible through outward appearances. This suggests a critique of the idea that emotions can be judged simply by physical expressions, nor can you more judge women's thoughts by tears. So he further emphasizes that tears alone are not reliable indicators of a woman's internal thoughts or emotions. This line expresses skepticism about understanding someone solely through their outward displays of emotion. Then by her shadow, what she wears. So the speaker compares judging a woman's feelings by her tears to judging her intentions or characters by the shadow of her clothing. This metaphor indicates that both are superficial and misleading, highlighting the complexity of understanding others. Oh, perverse sex, where none is true but she. So the speaker addresses women directly, labeling them as perverse while claiming that only one woman is genuine in her feelings. This captures a sense of frustration and disappointment in women, viewing them through a lens of mistrust. Who is therefore true because her truth kills me. So the speaker concludes by asserting that the one woman he considers true is paradoxically the one whose honesty causes him suffering. This line encapsulates the complex nature of love and truth. Experiencing genuine emotion can lead to deep pain. Then with this video lecture ends here. Hope this video lecture will help you in your exams. Thank you.